MAGA Republicans are panicking in public as Donald Trump's war against Iran is demonstrating to be just an absolute disaster. You had MAGA Mike holding a press conference where he parroted what Secretary of State Marco Rubio said, that the reason we needed to invade Iran immediately is that Israel was going to invade Iran first. And if Israel invaded Iran, then Iran might attack the United States. Therefore, we had to invade Iran first because Netanyahu told us we had to. It's exactly word for word what MAGA Mike said during the press conference. Are you listening to your words, MAGA Mike? Don't you profess to be America first? Do you realize that you're describing something that's not defensive, that's literally offensive in nature? Here's what MAGA Mike said at a press conference. Let's play it.
They had to evaluate the threats to the U.S., to our troops, to our installations, to our assets in the region and beyond. And they determined, because of the exquisite intelligence that we had, that if Israel fired upon Iran and took action against Iran to take out the missiles, then they would have immediately retaliated against U.S. personnel and assets. We have troops in harm's way, and we have many Americans in the region, and that was of great concern. If we had waited for all of those eventualities to take place, the consequences of inaction on our part could have been devastating. We don't know at what magnitude, but you can assume, because it is common sense, that if Iran had begun to fire all of their missile arsenal, short and mid-range missiles, at our personnel and our assets and our installations, we would have suffered staggering losses.
And then Donald Trump rolled out all these MAGA Republicans like Markwayne Mullin and Tommy Tuberville, I guess, who were competing for who was like the dumbest and most asinine MAGA Republican along with MAGA Mike. But Markwayne Mullin thinks this is funny. He goes, Donald Trump said he created jobs in Iran by killing the people. Here, play this clip.
And the president's well within those 60 and 90 days. I mean, think about it. In less than 3 days, really, we have almost eliminated their ability to even conduct reasonable strikes. We've taken out their leadership and 40 other individuals. As the president joked about a while ago, he's creating jobs in Iran, which I thought was hilarious.
More from Tommy Tuberville. Let's play this clip.
President Trump isn't ruling out sending ground troops into Iran. What is your reaction to that?
Yeah, you can't blame him. This is not your Democrat war. This is President Trump's war. And he's not going in to be politically correct. He's going in to protect, first of all, Americans first, and then our allies and the people around the world. Iran has been the city of terrorism as long as I can remember.
And then MAGA Mike pretends that he knows about constitutional law. He's like, as you know, I zealously protect Article 1. That's when I zealously protect Article 1. You've literally abdicated your role as speaker. You've abdicated the role of Congress to function effectively as a check on the president. You're just like worse than the Russian Duma. But here's what he says. Play this clip.
Mr. Speaker, is there at any point you think Congress will need to give congressional authorization?
So, you know my background. I'm a constitutional law attorney. I'm a jealous guardian of Article 1 in the legislative branch. My understanding of the law, and has always been, and this is the tradition and the way the law has been used and observed over many decades, the president was acting well within his authority. What I just told you is the scope of what happened here and the situational awareness that they had at the time to make this decision. It was not, it's not a declaration of war. It's not something that the president was required, because it's defensive in nature and in design and in necessity, to come to Congress and get a vote first. And if they had briefed a larger group than the Gang of Eight, there's a real threat that very sensitive intelligence that we had, might have been leaked or something. So this is why the commander-in-chief of our armed forces has the latitude that any commander-in-chief, any president always has, because they have a set of information that is sensitive, timely, and urgent, and they have to be able to act upon it. They did that. Now, there, as you know, under our system, there are timetables that are involved here. But I think the idea that we would move a War Powers Act vote right now, I mean, it will be forced to the floor. But the idea that we would take the ability of our commander-in-chief, the president, take his authority away right now to finish this job is a frightening prospect to me. It's dangerous. And I am certainly hopeful, and I believe we do have the votes to put it down. That's going to be a good thing for the country and our security and stability.
I want to compare that to what we were seeing yesterday from Democrats, like Democratic Senator John Ossoff, who gave one of the most, he's been running such an incredible campaign in Georgia for re-election for the Senate. Watch, though, this incredible speech that he gave. Here, play this clip.
We're here today in wartime. And so on behalf of all Georgians, I express our grief at the news Americans have been killed, and our deep sympathy for the spouses and children and loved ones of those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. And with immense gratitude for all who serve, we pray for the survival and recovery of the wounded and for the safety and success of American service members engaged in combat. The United States Armed Forces are the world's most capable military, and our commander-in-chief has no more solemn responsibility than the stewardship of their lives. Sending Americans into combat should be a last resort in the pursuit of vital national interests. 8 months ago, President Trump lied to the country when he falsely claimed to have obliterated Iran's nuclear program. Now he says he's taken the United States to war for regime change, without evidence of imminent threat, without having exhausted diplomacy, without clear objectives or a plan for the aftermath, and without the consent of Congress. The American people overwhelmingly oppose another open-ended regime change war in the Middle East. And the president owes Americans a real explanation for his decision to take this nation to war. 2 a.m. posts on Truth Social just aren't good enough when you're sending Americans into combat. The president was dancing at his beach club the same night he ordered air crews to launch into combat, and hours before our service members endured missile salvos. But our Constitution reserves for Congress, not for him, the decision to go to war. George Washington wrote, quote, "The Constitution vests the power of declaring war with Congress. Therefore, no offensive expedition of importance can be undertaken until after they shall have deliberated upon the subject and authorized such a measure." And so I intend to support this week's War Powers resolution to assert the proper authority of Congress over war and peace and to rein in the administration.
So by now you know that we've been reporting a whole lot on the Trump administration scrapping the endangerment finding. This is something that we can't just let drift out of the news cycle, so give me a minute to highlight some important info. So I want to flag a new analysis from the Harvard Chan School of Public Health on why this all matters so much. The endangerment finding was the legal and scientific basis that allowed the EPA to regulate greenhouse gases under the Clean Air Act. Back in 2009, the government determined that gases like carbon dioxide and methane threaten public health and future generations. That decision gave the EPA both the authority and the responsibility to limit pollution from vehicles and power plants. According to Harvard's climate and health experts, removing that foundation could mean more fine particulate pollution from burning fossil fuels. That's linked to higher risks of asthma in children, chronic heart and lung disease, and premature death, especially in communities near highways, power plants, and industrial sites. And long-term, the health impacts grow. Hotter days are tied to more hospitalizations and preterm births. Warmer conditions worsen ozone pollution.